It's Monica Dubay, and I'm here with Heal Your Mind, Heal Your Life Transformation Program. This is lesson 46 of A Course in Miracles. God is the love in which I forgive. And I'm doing this lesson because it's probably, the idea of forgiveness is really so central to the Course in Miracles, as well as any other spiritual path that you could possibly embark on. And the reason that is because when we judge ourselves, we have to stop and we have to learn how to let go of the judgment, and how to recognize when we are judging ourselves that we can stop and ask for forgiveness right then and there. It is about forgiveness and why forgiveness is necessary, and the fact that we don't forgive ourselves without our Creator. You can't really forgive yourself within the dream, or in the illusion. So you have to recognize that I need the love of God flowing through me to forgive myself and to forgive others. So it's very poignant in understanding that the love that you actually are created in is who you are, and that's what God is. So if you don't like the word God, use the word love. It's really synonymous. It is synonymous. And so I'll just start by reading the basis of this whole idea. God does not forgive because he is never condemned. Okay? God doesn't condemn anything ever. Does not judge. And that's really different from a lot of organized religion. So if you accept that thought that God doesn't judge because God is a creative force of the universe and is always just in a total extension of himself or itself, and herself, I don't care how you use it, but God does not forgive because he's never condemned. He's never condemned anything. You've condemned yourself, and you've made up stories about yourself being separate from God, and made and projected that onto other people and made them wrong as well. But when you get to the bottom of it, truly, the only thing that you've ever done is made up an idea that's not true. You can't be something that you're not. You can't be separate if you're not separate. You can't be alone if you're never alone. You can't be judged if you don't judge yourself, right? So we claim our power to release all of that with the idea of forgiveness, meaning forgiveness being, it was just a thought and I was thinking that thought and I don't have to continue to think that thought. We always just forgive ourselves for thinking a false idea. That's why it's so simple to do. So there is, and there must be condemnation before forgiveness is necessary, right? The Course in Miracles is all based on the idea of perception. You're perceiving with your own mind, but you're doing it if you're doing it in judgment, right? If you're perceiving with the eyes of judgment, then you're always perceiving what's not true and not there. That's lesson 6. I'm upset because I see something that's not there, because I'm seeing only the past if I'm looking through these eyes and condemning. When we stop doing that and we use our mind differently, right? This is entirely what the Course is about, is that forgiveness is the great need of this world. But that's because it's a world of illusions. It's a world where people condemn themselves and they condemn each other. And then you project that onto God and you say, God is judging me. No, none of that is true. None of it. So those who do forgive are thus releasing themselves from illusions. It's all going on in you. That's how you know. It can't possibly be true because it's just my own mistaken identity as a separate being that caused me to judge myself. And I'm not separate, so I don't have to believe that anymore. This really will release you entirely from the dream if you let it. I mean that. So, I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. While those who withhold forgiveness are binding themselves to the illusion. If you withhold forgiveness, there's someone in your mind right now that you can think of that you have not forgiven because they did something to you that was so terrible, or you thought it was so terrible. That person is the person you need to forgive. Okay? And what I mean by that is to recognize that whether they did it or not is kind of irrelevant, because it's still going on in you, your reaction to it. That's what you're forgiving, is the thought that you could be hurt, that someone else could judge you, that God could judge you. And recognizing that that's just still going on in your mind. It's still all about you. That's how you know it's all about me. It's all about what happened to me, stories I made up, and all that stuff. And it's really important when you're in pain and when you're struggling with forgiveness or not being able to forgive something, because you really can't. I mean, that's what I came to with a very intense situation for me, was that I didn't have the power to forgive myself because I was seeing it all wrong, and I knew I was seeing it all wrong, and I asked for help with seeing it differently so that I could move on from there, so I could have a forgiveness experience even though I was really not willing to forgive. And even in the admission that you're not willing to forgive or you don't know how, it still will happen if you recognize, I don't like what I'm feeling. I don't know how to forgive this. Do it for me, right? It's always that it will be given you if you really mean it, if you're sincere. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want them to be in pain. But I certainly don't want to continue going through life with a resentment over something that happened years ago. I just don't want to do that to myself. I hope you don't either. That's what this will free you to teach you, is that God never condemned you. And God never hurt you. God gave you life and love and happiness and freedom. And if you're not expressing that or experiencing that, it's because you're judging something about yourself. And none of that's true either. So here we go. God does not forgive. His love is nevertheless the basis of forgiveness. That's how we forgive. Fear condemns and love forgives. Really simple. Forgiveness thus undoes what fear has produced, returning the mind to the awareness of God or love. Returning your mind to an awareness of, oh, it was just an idea, right? It was just a story I was telling myself. And I made up all kinds of stuff to justify my pain. Absolutely you did. I did too. But isn't it great that we can look at it now and go, wow, I really did that. I must be powerful. I made up a whole story around something that happened many years ago, or maybe yesterday, or maybe today, and you just have to go, wow, I caused that to happen, and I can let it go. I can truly allow myself the freedom of my mind to forgive myself for thinking a thought that wasn't true. That's all you're ever forgiving yourself for. Isn't that great? And that's not that hard to do. If your motivation is clear that you want to be free of pain, you will be. So for this reason, forgiveness can truly be called salvation, or being saved, or being enlightened, or being healed. All of it means the same thing. Salvation meaning I can awaken from this if I choose to, right here and now. And I will, because I want that. And I hope that's what you want. It's the means by which illusions disappear. So forgiveness is the means by which all of your illusions about yourself, all your separate thoughts, all your ideas of separation can just be undone instantly. But don't think you can just bypass it with thinking, oh, I already did that. Because if there's any inkling of discomfort with a person or a situation and you haven't healed it, then you haven't healed it. It just hasn't been done. So take a breath and get honest. Who is that person that I haven't forgiven? It could be you. It could be yourself. Haven't forgiven myself for being in a situation that, I'm afraid of having a marriage that broke up. Maybe it's the loss of finances. I don't know. But whatever it is, if you're still judging yourself for having the experience, that needs to be forgiven. Okay? And you can forgive it easily by just doing this lesson. God is the love in which I forgive you, yourself, or the person. God is the love in which I forgive you. And mean it. Okay? If you don't mean it, it's not going to do anything. So God is the love in which I forgive myself. Right? I forgive myself for dreaming up a crazy dream where I could be separate. Yeah. And it took lots of forms and, lots of relationships that show me who I am and reflected to me my own belief system. And now I can shift that. I can let it be a dream of forgiveness, a dream of happiness. It's really what the happy dream is the dream of recognizing that all that occurred just occurred for you to learn this one thing. God is the love in which you forgive. It's great for the soul, right? Letting it go. Letting go of what you thought you had occurred didn't occur. It's over. It's been over for them forever. Might as well be over for you too. So this is like in the 12-step program, I came to a place where step 8, where you become willing to make amends. Well, if you're not willing to make amends, you're not going to make an amend. So you have to become willing to make an amend. And that's what this brings you to, is recognizing you're either willing or you're not, right? If you are, then make the phone call. Call the guy up. Say, I'm really sorry this happened. You know, you could set yourself free from years of pain with this. And you will if you apply it. So God is the love with which I forgive myself for thinking this thought about someone else or about myself. And wouldn't it be nice for them to know that it upset you, that you don't want it anymore, and it has nothing to do with how they respond to your amend, but just call them up and say, hey, I don't want to feel this anymore, and I forgive myself, or I forgive you, right, for whatever it was. You can't hold on to it after a while because the pain's too intense, right? The pain's too crazy, and I cannot be guilty because I'm a son of God. I've already been forgiven. God's already forgiven you for this. Everything, no matter what it was, you've been forgiven. And that's across the board. I mean that. I don't care what it was. God does not condemn you for any of this. And I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble from organized religion about this, or not. I don't know. Maybe we've evolved so that the organized religions are also teaching, love your neighbor as yourself, So I hope so. No fear is possible in the mind beloved of God. If I'm beloved of God, I don't have any reason to be afraid. So maybe you're afraid to make that phone call because you're afraid of what they're going to say or think of you. Let it go. Just go ahead and make the call. I promise you what you think occurred didn't occur. It's different for everyone. And, they might respond in a way that you don't like. That's okay too. Really. Just allow that you can open to receive the forgiving love of this moment for yourself and the other guy, if there is another guy involved. Okay? God is a love in which I forgive you. You might want to say that to yourself over and over, and be sure that within yourself you have forgiven them before you pick up that phone, because once you're clear that you really have forgiven yourself and forgiven him or her, then you're going to be a lot more receptive to the healing that will take place. Okay? I love you. I hope this helps you today. That's it. That's all I'm going to do, but it's probably the most important lesson of A Course in Miracles. So hope you do this. Also, there's no need to attack yourself for whatever it was, and love has already forgiven you. Isn't that great? I hope this helps you, and please comment and share if you want to. Really happy to be of service to anyone looking for help. HealYourMindHealYourLife.com. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye now.